Welcome everybody, this is Roundtable Sports Talk. I'm your host, Littleboy. With me today is, we got Darren here from PFP Sports.
Just Darren, not Darren.
I throw the us in there a lot. We got Nick here from PFP Sports. And on the phone calling in today, we have Simon from PMLBsports.com.
What's going on, guys?
What's Simon? How you doing, Simon? This week's show is actually sponsored by 4 Wheel Parts. So you can go to our website, www.pmlbsports.com, click on the banner, and they throw us a few ducats if you buy anything through there. We're going to start out this week's show with Hines Ward retired. Good riddance, cheap shot artist. Let's move on to the next subject. Can't stand that guy. I am so happy he's gone.
Hall of Famer?
No.
Okay.
I forgot what
Definitely.
fan he was.
Oh, my God.
He's got better numbers than Irvin, and Irvin made it, so he's in.
You think so?
Good point.
Without a doubt.
Oh, geez.
20 more touchdowns, 250 more receptions, and roughly the same yards.
Cheap shot artist, piece of crap. I hate that smile on his face. I want someone to smack it off of there.
Is he better than Chris Carter?
No.
Chris Carter's not in.
No, he'll get there.
Okay.
Chris Carter should
So
be
he's
in.
not a first ballot. So we're all in agreement that he's not a first ballot. If he is a Hall of Famer, definitely not a first ballot.
No way.
I agree.
Everybody here thinks Chris Carter is not a first ballot Hall of Famer?
I think he's a first. I think he is.
I think he is.
I do too.
Hasn't that already passed, though?
Yeah, he's not in.
Yeah,
he
he
should
didn't make it.
He should have been. Though.
Yeah, well, but he's not.
He's
Right.
only been around. He's only been up once, though, right?
Yes.
One
Yeah.
time?
Yeah, but I mean, he's not a first ballot Hall of
Yeah,
Famer.
not
So
anymore.
Hines Ward definitely is not a first ballot guy.
Well, tough.
So anyway, I know you wanted to move on.
We have already spent way too much time on Hines Ward.
Fantastic wide receiver.
Sorry about that.
Thank you there, Mr. Producer. Bountygate penalties were handed down today. A lot of stuff happened in sports today. We're going to talk about some, surprising to me, Sean Payton got suspended for an entire year. Anybody see that coming?
Oh man, no, I did not. Did not see that coming.
Yeah, I think it's crazy.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Simon?
You know, I think they're going to set a standard there,
Yeah.
and that's unfortunately it's a guy that we like watching on the sideline. So that sucks. I wish it was Belichick, but he can cheat and still play.
Right.
You know, we talked about that a few episodes ago. The thing, it surprised me and it shocked me, but at the same time, it doesn't surprise me because, you know, the NFL has been really, really, you know, going hard after trying to protect the players and stuff, and something like this comes out, and they had to drop the hammer, and they dropped it hard on these guys.
They went overboard, though. Does
You think
anyone
so?
Didn't they? You don't think so? I mean, we're talking about a guy, Dante Stallworth, and I know it was off the field, so all you people about it, email me. I know it was off the field, but we're talking about a guy that killed somebody.
I know.
Got drunk, got in a car, and killed somebody, got suspended for a year. So, I mean, come on.
Leonard Little played for the Rams. He did the same. He killed somebody, too, and I don't even think he got suspended for a whole year.
I don't know. I think it's a bit severe, but again, you're right. They're trying to set a standard.
Yeah, Ray Lewis held somebody while somebody else killed him, and he didn't get suspended at all.
Was he guilty for that? Did they find him guilty for that?
Yeah.
No.
O.J. was found not guilty too, I
his
think.
whole career, nobody ever came down on him.
No, I don't know.
Greg Williams was suspended indefinitely, which was effective immediately. So he's, you know,
It's going to be more than a year, right? It's got to be more than Sean Payton's going to get.
You would think, And I saw something here I didn't write down. Jeff Fisher actually came out and said that he thought that it was justified, the sentence, the punishment.
Look at you getting on your high horse.
Right.
And that's his defense. Maybe Jeff Fisher didn't like him.
Now you're so bad. You're the ref now, Jeff Fisher.
I'm not a big Jeff Fisher fan, anyways. I don't know what the hype was about that guy.
Actually,
anyways.
has a reputation for being one of the dirtier.
His team's been dirty for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Jeff Fisher. Now you're handing down the penalties.
Well, look at who he had under him. He had Williams under him, and then he had Schwartz under him. Which Schwartz, that Detroit team's a little dirty too. So
a little dirty.
Yeah,
those were
you got to think for Schwartz though, Simon. You're not a big fan of Schwartz. You kind of complain about that guy a lot. I've heard you complain about him a few times.
He's a whiny little baby.
Saints were also fined $500,000. Big deal.
So what?
They lost 2 second-round draft choices. I think that's going to hurt them a little bit.
For next year.
Next year, the 12 and the 13.
Wow.
You know, if they really want to hurt them, they should have taken one this year too. You know, because they've done all this work and stuff. You know, just to lose a draft pick now. Their GM was suspended for the first 8 regular season games, which isn't a real big deal, I think, once the season starts.
Yeah.
GM.
Why is that?
Yes,
Signing the checks
exactly.
over?
Yeah.
Give me a break.
I think GM takes the first half of the season off anyway.
You wait. I wonder what's going to happen in the NFL when it comes out that every team in the NFL has been doing something like this.
What they also said that each team is going to have to sign a paper saying that they don't do stuff like this. And I think one of the reasons why they came down, which we haven't talked about, why they came down so hard on Sean Payton was because they started investigating this like a year back, and they completely denied that it was happening.
You know what?
What are they supposed to come out and say?
Well,
I mean, come on.
Maybe
they
should have come out and said, yes, but we're going to stop it. You know what I mean? Okay, you know, haha, you got me, you know, but they completely denied. I guess they have proof.
Yeah, hold on. I'm polishing my Super Bowl ring right now. Hold on.
Right.
Yeah.
It's starting to. It feels more like a corporation now than a sport.
Yeah,
you know
no,
what I mean?
for
Like,
sure.
Doesn't that remind you of something like, you know, we don't want to name names here, but a lot of people here work with corporations, and it's very reminiscent of what you do every day at work. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
All right.
The defensive players are. You go out there with the mentality that, and a lot of old school players will say, you want to take the quarterback, you want to take the other team's best players off the field.
you
so
do.
it makes it easier for you.
Tom Jackson's been making a big deal about that. And
So the big travesties here is that honestly those players are going to hit people and do the hits that they're doing anyways. So the difference is I want to find out how much they were paid them. Let's make sure they pay taxes on that dollar.
Good point.
That's a
No, it
great
doesn't
point.
even matter. You know, where does it stop? I mean, what if, hey, you know what? You took out Brett Favre. Dinner's on me tonight. I mean,
Well,
what do we
it's technically
do?
illegal. It's technically illegal, and you know the thing is, but you're not allowed to pay for performance. Like you're not allowed. They were also paying for interceptions and stuff, and that's actually illegal in the NFL, anyways. You know, paying for interceptions is not just. It is.
That's how a guy gets paid.
I'm telling you, if you.
I mean, maybe
I'm telling
actually
you what, that's
paying
what the
him
rules.
for an interception.
Yes.
Like, here's $100 bill for that interception.
Right.
Yeah, I get that.
Right.
But in the grand scheme of things, guy leads the league every year in interceptions. He's going to get paid more than a guy that doesn't.
Right. But when you pay for specific things, it's not in their contract. It's illegal in the NFL, and that has to go with trying to circumvent the salary cap as well.
They got caught.
That goes all to that.
They got caught.
Yeah. They got caught and they paid a big time price for it. Big
so
time.
now what's going to happen? Who's going to coach? They're going to have to find an interim coach. You know, I
I'll
wonder.
do it. I'll do it for half whatever they're paying.
No,
I'll
but
do it
that's
for
what I'm like anxious to see in the near future. What are they going to do? Do they get to hire a new coach for a season?
For one season.
What happens if that coach takes the Saints 14-2? Then Sean Payton's future. I mean,
That's a great point.
I don't know. The thing with suspending all these people, like, are they just going to promote somebody within the staff and Sean Payton's job? I mean,
that's part of the punishment hurting. You know, I
is
think.
Sean Payton banned from the facilities for the entire
Yes.
season? Is he?
Yes.
Yeah, and each team has an interim head coach, so that's
Well,
what
yeah.
you're going to have.
But do you think they would do that for an entire year?
Yeah.
I mean, they still got time to go after, you know, what if they wanted to rattle one of these big-time names?
Get Bill Cowher.
Yeah, Bill Cowher seems to be the sexy pick for everybody.
Like this is the first time this has happened. I mean, have you seen like football in the 70s and
Oh,
early
yeah.
80s? For God's
Oh, yeah.
sake, I mean, like these guys have. They made careers out of doing things far worse. I mean,
Right.
they did that stuff on a daily basis.
They're just trying to get away from that, I think.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on here a little bit. Lots of stuff happened today, and I keep having to change the notes from the show because things kept changing, but Manning got signed, and Tebow got traded to the Jets, which we're not even sure has actually gone through now because they're talking about they have some contract problems.
They came out of left field.
Yeah. Did you hear
Both of them.
Did you hear what Cromartie tweeted before Tebow got traded to the Jets? Did you guys hear?
Cromartie said.
I know.
Marty's smart enough to tweet?
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy with 11
that guy could use a couple prayers,
years of
He said.
It probably takes you an hour and a half to read one of his tweets.
Yeah, he tweeted, "We sell out every home game. Let him go to the Jacksonville or Tampa or Miami. Our Wildcat offense can be ran by Curley or McKnight. We straight, whatever we straight means."
We're good.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the Ebonics translation.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Simon. But what do you think about your play? You know, one thing I got to hand it to him. At least he put his name on it. I know you're a big thing on that. You know, I know you're a big thing on that. So he put his name on it. He didn't.
And he
didn't,
puts his name on almost everything he says.
Yeah. That's true.
So,
but what do you? I mean, if you're the GM, do you want your players commenting on whether or not they should sign other guys? I mean, do you want that?
No.
Free speech.
No. Especially if you're going to trade for the guy. Now he's on the team, you know, supposedly. Who knows,
I'm sure that GM probably doesn't even want Cromartie to have a Twitter account. I mean, let's be honest here. That guy does nothing but spew just nonsense.
Nothing good can come with Antonio Cromartie plus Twitter.
Yeah.
A truckload of paternity suits back
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
He's got bigger fish to fry.
Exactly.
Yeah, Twitter, Cromartie.
Exactly.
You know what? What happens if Timmy Boy goes over there and just kicks his ass in the locker room in front of everybody?
Wouldn't surprise me.
You know what? Tebow's a big dude, man.
One thing that I did notice, one thing I heard on the radio today was somebody said, we all know what a big fan you are of Tim Tebow there, by the way, D. He's very religious, and they figured the first thing he's going to say to Cromartie is, You know, I know the Lord did say be fruitful and multiply there, Antonio, but I think you're taking it a little bit farther, buddy.
So was that come from Mauro Ronaldo's Twitter?
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard all kinds of funny comments today. That one wasn't quite the home run, but there has been some funny stuff.
I thought it was pretty funny.
But let's just say this deal goes down. Let's just assume that this deal does go down.
Okay.
Can you think of a worse locker room for this guy?
Oh, there is no worse. They need prayer in that locker room.
Yeah.
One of the people that I'm not a big fan of, so I don't want to say his name, but he brought up a fantastic point in a morning show that I watch. He said it's almost like this is the Jets' way of kind of cleaning up their locker room. You know, I mean, like, they got a lot bigger things that they're going to need a lot more than Tim Tebow coming in there and throwing interceptions to clean up the locker room.
A guy coming in throwing for 45% completion rate is not going to clean up that locker room.
You know what it will do, though? It's going to put a lot of pressure on Jonathan Sanchez, and it's going to make that whole situation worse. Like,
Mark Sanchez.
What did I say?
Jonathan Sanchez.
Jonathan.
You moved to baseball.
Whatever. It's almost opening day. I'll just say Sanchez.
Okay.
Anyway, but
you're right. You're right.
It's going to put way too much. He's already got a lot of pressure on it because he's not very good to begin with.
Exactly. But that's tough to be a quarterback when you're not very good.
Exactly. I mean, how can Tim Tebow rally around guys like Santonio Holmes, who is by far the biggest pile of trash in the NFL? Right? How is he going to go? I want to see Tim Tebow and Santonio Holmes go out to dinner. I would love to be there for that. And you know, and I don't think Tim Tebow is a saint. He portrays.
No, I think it's a little bit of an act myself.
Yeah, but I mean, there going to be a worse situation. But at the end of the day, he's really got no other choice. I mean, it's not his decision.
Yeah, he's got to go there. He's got to go there and make the best of it. It's going to be interesting when Sanchez throws 3 picks in the first game when the fans start screaming.
When do those idiot Jet fans start screaming Tebow? Like the Broncos
that's what I'm wondering. Yeah,
you know, I mean, those I don't know.
Yeah, they'll be throwing batteries instead.
Yeah,
that's a rough crowd over there.
Taking family members hostage.
You look at it, and it's obviously a testament to how the lack of control that the Jets head office and head coaches and everyone has on that program.
Well, it's a mess.
It just shows that you can't control the locker room, and now you've got
when your head coach is a loose cannon like that. How do you expect your players to stay in line?
What do you think that relationship's going to be like?
Horrible.
Yeah, it's got to be, right?
Yeah.
That's not important or anything, that relationship, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, we got Jonathan Sanchez. How many times am I going to say that?
5.
Mark Sanchez, there's 3. Jonathan Sanchez, great pocket, not great pocket, but he's an actual quarterback. He could actually throw the ball.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, what? And his teammates talk trash about him.
Nobody's more down on Mark Sanchez than me, and I would take him.
Jonathan?
Or Jonathan Sanchez.
Okay.
Either one. I'm down on both of them. No one's more down on them, and I would take him. I would take both of them at quarterback before I took Tim Tebow.
Yeah, no kidding, dude. No, that's what I'm saying. You know, like he's got his whole half his locker room talking trash about him, and he's a serviceable NFL quarterback.
Right.
What's going to happen when they put in Tebow and he's not a serviceable NFL quarterback?
Right.
What's going to happen? What are the guys going to start saying behind his back then?
Yeah.
Well, it seems like they didn't go get a quarterback. They went and got a chaplain. Is pretty much what they did.
That's a good point.
Tebow's going to be in certain packages, and he's probably not going to play quarterback for him.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
All right, we're gonna move on. We've talked enough about Tebow, although I'm sure
I can spend all night talking about that dude.
I know you could. Alex Smith. I want to talk a little bit about Alex Smith. It was interesting because he has the same agent as Peyton Manning, or at least he did. I don't know if he's moved on from him or not. What do you think about your own agent having one of his other players kind of come in, maybe kind of come out from under you and take your job from you?
Yeah, it's part of the business, man. Yeah. It's all about money. It's I was thinking about that very same thing. If Alex Smith was smart, he probably would have fired him, found a new agent before this offseason.
I mean, first of all, when he first signed with him, I don't know who. I'm sure that Manning signed with him first, but he signed with him. You think there's never going to be a conflict of interest here,
Right.
I mean, and Alex Smith, I feel for the guy because I felt really bad for him, but the agent, he's going to direct most of his effort to whoever's going to get the bigger contract because he gets a percentage of that.
Of course, which is what he should do.
Yeah, you can't blame him for that. So I think the second that happened, he might have wanted to move on because you understand it, you completely see how it is, and at the same time, I could see how my feelings would be hurt, if I was Smith.
The guy just came out of the NFC Championship game too.
Yeah,
that's what everybody forgets.
And then he went to.
I mean, that's how often is that going to happen?
Then he went to Miami, and Miami didn't want to give him what he wanted.
The guy was a play away from going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like everybody. I mean, it's almost like Marty Schottenheimer going 14-2. It's just one of those
things.
But you can't you can't argue that. There's very few quarterbacks in the league that are better than Peyton Manning. And I know he's coming off an injury and all this, blah, blah. But Alex Smith he's got to just take it with a grain of salt. And
he did because he just went back and signed.
because he had no other options.
Right.
But he kind of was a little crybaby about it.
I think I'd have been a little bit butthurt. I might not have come out but I think internally I'd been a little
because
bit
my team wanted to go after Peyton Manning, who I'm obviously not.
Right.
Well, and it'd be one thing if a guy like Phillip Rivers, if the Chargers were going after him, it'd be one thing.
Right.
If the Packers were going after him, that'd be another. But we're talking about Alex Smith.
Human nature says it's still got to hurt a little bit.
Yeah, of course it does. But you know what? I mean, it's business.
What do you think there, Simon?
I was kind of likening it, trying to look around what it would kind of correlate with. And for Darren, I think it would make sense where if I wanted to trade Andy Ashby for Nolan Ryan, it's a serviceable starter or one of the best ever to play the game. And I think you got a college-educated guy in Alex Smith. He got his master's degree in 4 years at Utah. I think he can figure out the fact that he's not an upper echelon quarterback.
No,
I don't think it hurts his feelings. As much as people may kind of portray it does, he understands it, and at the end of the day, he was either going to hopefully end up with his high school buddy Reggie Bush, or he was going to come back and lead the team that was already here.
Well, the bottom line is it is a business. Everybody understands that. Everybody says that, but it's still got to hurt a little bit, Yeah. You got to move on. And I
think the guy's making like just under $8 million a season, so poor him.
Yeah, I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah.
Last subject I'm going to talk about is. Last Monday, Devils and the Rangers played. We're moving on to hockey here. This is Darren's sport. Devils and the Rangers played. We had 3 fights within the first 5 seconds of the game. I don't know who saw that. Did you guys see the highlights? I'm sure you saw that. Now, it was interesting because the Devils were the visiting team, so they had to submit their lineup first, and they put their brawlers to start the game.
Forwards.
Yeah, their brawlers. So then the Rangers came up with their brawlers. They even put a defenseman up at center, because they knew everybody knew what was going to happen. Now, is this good for hockey, something like this? Good for hockey? Or is it, I'm going to throw my opinion out there first because it's my show and I can do that. Fighting is part of hockey. Everybody understands that. But when you have something like this, it almost kind of takes away from that. It takes away from the thing that's cool about hockey is it's kind of a natural thing. It's a progression, and it just sometimes it happens. Something like this almost seems staged. And I don't want
to
I don't want to throw WWE out there because they were really fighting. But when you do something like this, it turns it into a spectacle, and I think it takes away a little bit of the legitimacy of the actual fighting and stuff in hockey.
Do you think it was staged? Do you really?
Oh, absolutely. Not staged in the sense that they weren't real fights, but both teams knew exactly what was going to happen. Once the Devils put that lineup out there, the Rangers said, we are fighting. Did you watch it? For crying out loud, they dropped the puck. There was one little swipe, and everybody started dropping. They're rolling up their sleeves. They were ready to go.
You mean staged as in, everybody knew it was going to happen before But
absolutely.
But you don't think
when they were filling those lineup cards, they knew we are fighting.
I know, but what I'm getting at though is that you don't think that maybe on some level it's the culmination of teams meeting each other in the season. People make mental notes.
Something happened. Something happened in the previous game.
Yeah. I still think it takes away from that. I do. What do you think? You're the biggest hockey fan here. We're all listening to you.
Nick's a pretty big hockey fan too, so you're taking away a little bit from him.
Sorry.
My thunder, but it's all good.
Nick likes to bet on who is going to win the fight.
It happens. It happens a lot that I don't want to call it the stage fighting, but you can't actually fight until the puck is dropped. So you'll see it a lot. I'm a Kings fan, so the Kings enforcer is Kevin Westgarth. If he's on the ice at the same time as the other guy, the game's kind of at a stale. They'll drop the puck. They'll look at each other, give each other a wink. Hey, you want to go? They'll drop the puck, and then they'll fight. To me, that stage, I don't like that. I don't think that's good for the sport. I like in gameplay, a guy takes a hit, a guy doesn't like the way he's getting checked up against the board, so he's going to turn around and whack the guy with the stick. Hey, let's go.
I think it's that more often than
that's
not.
What I like to see.
I agree. No, I agree.
It is, but that's what I like to see. The stuff where, they're looking across the ice, say, hey, you want to go? Yeah. And then they say, yeah, and then the puck drops, so they don't get the, I think it's like a major penalty. I can't remember exactly what it is, but that's what it is not good for the sport.
I think that takes away from it a little bit. It takes away from the legitimacy of when they're, it's funny to say the legitimacy of a fight, but really, the other fights are a progression of the game.
It's passion of the sport.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when you have two guys say, ding, ding, let's go.
Yeah, that's our job. We're the enforcers on each other on our prospective squad, and we're on the ice together. Let's do this. Or maybe he got the best of me last season, so hey, you got to give me a shot again.
I think there's a lot of unwritten rules in hockey.
Yeah.
And they have a very loyal fan base. And number one, I don't think it hurts viewership or anything.
Oh no,
you got to be pretty hardcore, and they got a very loyal fan base. But I think it's more often than not, it's the culmination of a lot of things that happen during the season, and there's a lot of unwritten rules. Like people are making mental notes all year long. And it could,
I know.
It could even be for something last year.
And this type of stuff happens in all sports. Baseball, you'll buzz a guy, that maybe something happened a month before, and it's kind of funny because it's actually almost more accepted in other sports. But for me, like something like this, just I don't know. I just don't. It doesn't seem as natural. At
the same time, as a fan, it's entertaining.
Of course.
I mean,
I don't think they lost
exciting.
I don't think
I'm
they
not
viewers.
I'm not trying to say when I see the puck drop and two guys score off that I'm not excited and on the edge of my seat. But to me, watching the actual in the flow of the game, when two guys are just so pissed at each other that they fight, that's just a passion. And you always sometimes you get guys that aren't the enforcer on the team. They're just guys that got no problem dropping the gloves, and that's what I like to see.
What do you think, Simon?
Yeah, I think that I watched that, and I thought that was it was fun to watch. It was it was obviously set up beforehand that's what they expected to happen. I was having more fun watching the couple guys around it kind of just quickly skate the other way because they were going to have anything to do with those.
that would have been me, by the way.
I was looking for a sucker punch from behind or something cool, but. That's part of the game.
Well, there's a lot of unwritten rules in hockey fighting. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and they
hockey in general
stick to them. I mean, usually when they go down, it's over, right? Yep. Is that they don't just beat the guy into the eye?
No.
Once the guy goes down, it's
a lot
over,
of jersey tugging, and then somebody's bleeding at the end. You never saw where it came from.
Right. A lot of dancing. Tough. Got to be tough to fight on the ice.
Fun to watch.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I have for this week. I'm going to give out our information. Once again, go to the website. We're sponsored by 4Wheel Parts. 4Wheel Parts. Go to www.pmlbsports.com. Click on the 4Wheel Parts banner. Buy some stuff, and we'll get a little piece of the action. That would be nice. Help sponsor the show. Once again, I'm Littleboy. I also am on the Fat Man and Littleboy show. We live stream every Monday night at 6 o'clock on fatmanlittleboy.com. And this Roundtable Sports Talk show live streams every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. These are Pacific Standard Times on www.pmlbsports.com. And you can find me at Twitter. I'm at LBHost. And you can email me at littleboy@fatmanlittleboy.com. Go ahead, D.
And I'm at Darren PFP Sports on Twitter. Website pfpsports.com.
You heard the website at PFP Sports. That's it. I'm out.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Take care.
Cheers.